So in the previous video, I was talking about math type and how you could use math type to insert your equations. But I personally like using Word's in-house editor. So I go to Insert, I go to Equation, and I go to, for example, I wanted to type in the utility function of x sub 1 and x sub 2. Let's just write that down. So u, which stands for utility of x sub 1, which is x underscore 1, x underscore 2. Whoops, I have to press spacebar, right? So x sub 1, x sub 2 is equal to x sub 1, for example, x sub 2 raised to 2. And so it's that easy to type it here in Word's in-house editor, especially if you know your hotkeys and your shortcuts. It's quite hard to look for some operations, some fractions, some symbols here in Word, unlike math type. But if you're familiar with where or what to use or what commands and or what codes to use to type down some symbols or some functions, then I suggest you could use Unicode, which is what Word use. But you could also use LaTeX if you're familiar with LaTeX. So to use LaTeX, we go to Insert, we go to Equation, and then in this upper left hand side here, instead of Unicode right here, which is highlighted right now, you just go to LaTeX, and immediately whatever you type here would be in LaTeX. So for example, I wanted a fraction, so fraction for LaTeX is backslash frac, open, let's just say AB, and then CD. So this is basically a fraction of AB over CD, right? And when I get out of here, why doesn't it? Oh, there it is. You press enter, and it immediately becomes AB over CD with it shows you graphically what your equation would look like, or what your I forgot the word. Well, anyway, so if you are going to use Word's editor and you don't know LaTeX, it might be easier to use Unicode rather than LaTeX, because Unicode shows you real time how your equation is transforming. So for example, if I were to type x sub 1, right, and press spacebar, then you see x sub 1 immediately. But if you use LaTeX, I'm going to show you in LaTeX this time. So if I press x sub 1 and I press spacebar, you won't really see that immediately. You'd have to type the whole equation before you press enter, and then you get x1. So you have to type the whole equation without error in LaTeX mode. But in Unicode, you get to see the individual variables and the individual terms that you put in your equation, which makes it a bit more intuitive than writing in LaTeX. So another cute thing, or another nice thing with using Word's editor is, for example, I wanted to type sigma in, and let's just say that I don't know the code for sigma, and I go to Unicode. I don't know the code for sigma, so instead of looking for sigma here, I could just go to Google and ask Google, what's the Unicode for sigma? And of course, Google will tell me, oh, sigma's Unicode is backslash sigma. And if I type that down and press space using Unicode, then immediately I get sigma right here. And if I get like a partial derivative, which is what you will usually encounter in this course, I just have to type partial over partial right there. And you see, it's pretty easy to set up this partial derivative equation right here. And I just type, for example, u of x sub 1, x sub 2. Ooh. I wonder what's happening. X sub 2. And I just close this guy. Whoops, I just closed this guy. And then with respect to x sub 2, for example, is equal to whatever. Right? So if ever I forget what code this is, I could just ask Google, okay, Google, what's the Unicode for partial derivative? And I'm sure Google will also still tell us the answer for that. Of course, I think it pays off to familiarize yourself on how to type equations using these software, because you will be using them a lot, especially in this term and next term, and maybe in your other classes as well. That's it. Thanks for listening.